Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. It is Friday night, April 16th, year of our Lord 2021. Hope everybody had a good week. A pretty good week. I'm going to dive right into it, folks. There's a lot of stuff going on. Our petition, and by the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. I'm very happy to respond if I can see them. If you're joining us on YouTube, you have to come to our Facebook group. Facebook.com/group/SLJ group. So our petition that started the national conversation about canceling student loans by executive order is now up to 997, like 400 signatures. So we are very close to 1 million signatures now, and I am just thrilled. We should definitely be crossing that 1 million mark at some point this weekend, hopefully sooner than later. Change.org/cancel student loans. If you want to do something that actually helps, do everything you can over this weekend to get as many people as you know, or maybe that you don't know, to sign the petition. So pasting the link to it, change.org/cancel student loans, all over the internet is great. Having more than 1 million signatures, for some reason, it's just psychologically important. News media is more likely to report on it when you have over 1 million than under 1 million. And, just having more people on it is better. The larger this petition grows, the easier our job gets. So I hope you're thrilled, I hope you're pleased, and I hope you will do everything that you can to push that petition. So there's two things that we're fighting for, folks. Loan cancellation, obviously. This is a failed lending system. We are also fighting for bankruptcy protections. Now, this is what's going on this week, this past week in the news. Elizabeth Warren had a Senate hearing on, I want to say Wednesday or Tuesday. And talking about the concept of student loan cancellation. We were very unimpressed, and I'm sorry to have to say that, about this hearing. Not only was bankruptcy only mentioned one time in this hearing, but the person who mentioned it was the president of Sallie Mae, and he just was rolling out this old Sallie Mae parlor trick, saying, oh yeah, no, so we, Sallie Mae, believe bankruptcy protections should be returned to student loans, as long as people had already paid on the loans for 5, 6, 7 years. That's ridiculous. That's like saying, oh, you're drowning? You need a life jacket? Sure, I got a life jacket for you. See that island over there? Just swim to that island, and you can get your life jacket. It's ridiculous. It's a non-starter. So we weren't too thrilled with that hearing that Senator Warren did during the week. And by the way, 4 of the 6 guests or expert witnesses that testified in that hearing, they were against us. And this was Elizabeth Warren's hearing. So I don't know who picked those guests, but it was just very unimpressive, and we told her as much, by the way. We worked closely with many senators in Congress, including Elizabeth Warren, and she can do better, believe you, me. Now, on the upside, the next day, Elizabeth Warren was in an interview with Yahoo News, and she did talk about bankruptcy. But she said something that was very odd. She said bankruptcy protection should be there for the most extreme cases. Now, I don't know what that means, but what I do know is that student loans should be treated exactly the same way as all other loans in bankruptcy proceedings. The Founding Fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws, and people who borrow student loans, unlike every other type of borrower in this country, are uniquely excluded from this uniform bankruptcy coverage. The founders also gave us equal protection under the law. So why are 45 million student loan borrowers singled out and given unequal protection under the law in bankruptcy court, for example? Makes no sense. Hey, Paula Schultz is here tonight. She says we need to get more people involved. You're absolutely right, Paula. Here's the big number. There's 45.4 federal student loan borrowers in the country. There's another probably 10 million private student loan borrowers or co-signers in the country. That's like 55 million people. Even before this pandemic, 80% of them were never going to be able to repay their loans. So if you know 10 people who have student loans, 8 of them were never going to be able to repay them, even before the pandemic. So that's like over 40 million people in the country who are freaking out about their student loans. We need to find them. You know, this group right here started the national conversation about student loan cancellation by executive order. And we're it, guys. I mean, we are the tip of the spear. If everybody in the country knew about our petition, I suspect that around 35 million people would sign the petition. So we don't have $1 million budget where we can go and buy ads and pay Facebook and YouTube and Google to advertise our stuff. We don't have any of that stuff. We have word of mouth. So your mouth, my mouth, Paula's mouth, everybody watching this, word of mouth is what is going to help us here. So again, please just do everything that you can think of to do to spread the word about that petition. Hey, Zakia's here, joining us from the air. That's great, Zakia. So Elizabeth Warren, we have to be very careful, folks. We are a nonpartisan group. We are not in the tank with either party. Quite frankly, both parties are ridiculous at this point. So if we say bad things about somebody you like in Congress or in the public spotlight, don't feel too bad. We're bound to say bad things about both sides of the aisle. And Elizabeth Warren is, at this point, a huge disappointment. Joe Biden is a huge disappointment up to this point. We've been doing this for 16 years, folks, and my greatest fear, and this was played on us before, we do not want to be tricked by our opposition, which wants to perpetuate this damaging, nationally threatening lending system on the country. What they would love to do is a fake loan cancellation as a cheap substitute for returning bankruptcy protections to the loans. I'm going to say that one more time. The trick is to do a cheap bait and switch. You dangle the shiny object, which is loan cancellation. You never actually do that. You do something that sounds like loan cancellation, but nobody actually gets the cancellation. But in the meantime, you keep bankruptcy protections gone from the loans. That is exactly what our opposition wants to do. They did it to us before in 2007 and 8 when the Democrats controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They tricked us before. We will not be fooled again. Bankruptcy is not a sexy topic. It's not a fun topic. It's not something people are like, yeah, I want to go out in my neighborhood and shake my fist and demand bankruptcy rights. It's not that. It's not like that. But it is so important for keeping a lending system honest. And quite frankly, guys, if we're going to get meaningful loan cancellation, bankruptcy protections has got to be there in the background. It's got to be in our back pocket. Bankruptcy is the great threat that is on the people's side, which keeps the lending systems honest. Every loan in this country has basically the same standard bankruptcy protections. Student loans are the sole exception of that. So if you hear me talking about bankruptcy as much as loan cancellation, it's because, quite frankly, it's even more important. It truly is. It not only is it important for the 12% of student loans that cannot be canceled by the president by executive order, and that's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people with private loans out there that really need bankruptcy relief. Now, whether they would ever or never file doesn't matter. Whether you would ever or never file bankruptcy is not important. What's important is having the power of bankruptcy back on our side to force the lending system to do the right thing. So, yeah. So back to the petition. We've gotten nearly 1 million signatures. Last week, our research, which found that there are 18 states in the country that owe more than their entire state budget in student loan debt, was reported on by, Yahoo News, Business Insider, Fox News. And we're working on other local stories as we speak in Georgia and Ohio and a couple other places now. If you happen to live in Georgia or Ohio, in particular Augusta, Georgia, or northeastern Ohio, send me an email if you want to be interviewed. Very important. You know, if we can get even one Republican governor, and the governors of most of those 18 states that owe more in student loan debt than their entire state budget, most of those governors are Republican. So if we can get Brian Kemp of Georgia to say, Mr. President, enough, cancel these loans. You are conquering and enslaving my state, and I've had enough. I think that will probably win the game for us, guys. Because once Brian Kemp stands up, then there's no reason that, what's his name, Greg Abbott in Texas shouldn't do the same thing. People of Texas owe far more than their state budget in student loan debt. Governor of North South Carolina, governor of Indiana, governor of Alabama, governor of Tennessee, governor of, did I say Indiana? Governor of Missouri, even a couple of blue states like Michigan, Illinois, New Hampshire, Nevada is kind of a battleground state. But yeah, folks, so this battle starts and ends with us, me and you, your efforts, my efforts, all our state chapter leaders' efforts. Nobody's going to pull our weight for us. This is our problem. It's our problem to solve. So if you happen to live in any one of those 18 states that we found, that I just mentioned most of them. I don't know if I mentioned Florida, but that's definitely on the list. If you live in any of those states, or maybe even one of the bubble states, because there's a lot of states that owe like 97% of their entire state budgets in student loan debt. If for no other reason, just for your own state pride, you need to confront your governor. Whether you do it through the local media, which I highly recommend, or whether you show up to his house with a bullhorn, I don't care. But you have kind of a duty to your state and to the country at large to confront the governor about this. Wherever you may go in your state, whether it's on a website or actually physically in your state, if you stand up and say, Mr. Governor or Miss Governor, or whatever the case may be in your state, South Dakota, Christy Neem would be a Miss Governor, for example. If you go to them and say, Governor, how could you let this happen to our state? How could you? There is not one person in the room, Democrat, Republican, nobody will dare to even try and defend this massive injustice, this ridiculous big government debt trap that is now strangling the state economies from the Pacific to the Atlantic, from Florida to Fairbanks, Alaska. Nobody. I mean, that's true power, guys, because really, most governors, they don't even know this. They don't know. They know about state budgets. They know about the money they throw out to the colleges and universities. But these are federal loans. It's kind of out of, not their department, so they would think. But this is their department now. Because when your citizens owe more than your entire state budget in student loan debt, something has gone horribly wrong, and you've got something that you are responsible for. You've got to answer for that. So put your governors on the spot, big time. That's a true piece of power that we're sitting on right now. You need to use that power. It will make you feel better. It will be good for your state. It will be probably good for your governor. Maybe not initially, but they will thank you for raising this up the flagpole in months or years to come. We have history on our side, folks. We have the Constitution on our side. The Founding Fathers are on our side. So maybe the last thing I'll say tonight, just to keep it slightly brief, is, again, do everything you can to push that petition. Do everything you can to send that report, and I will post it in the comments, to get that report to your local media. And be thinking about ways that you can confront your governor. Maybe join our state chapter group. Go to studentloanjustice.org, look for the state chapter thing, jump onto your state chapter. Maybe you want to do it as an army of one. Maybe you want our state chapter group to help you. Do it as a group. That's even better, in my opinion. So make something happen, guys. We have the power here. Don't forget. And with that, I will just wish everybody a good and great weekend. Please, we need your help. This is your problem. These are your loans. Nobody's going to pull your weight for you. It's never happened that way. Never will. So think about that. Think about what you can do. And again, if you happen to live in Georgia or if you happen to live in Ohio and you want to be interviewed, let me know. justice@studentloanjustice.org. If you can donate at this time, last thing I'll say, you can please donate something, anything, at studentloanjustice.org/support. We fight to win this battle on very little funding, like very little. But we cannot do it on nothing, so please help with that. And with that, I will be back probably on Sunday. Ed will, I'll be back on Tuesday. Things are happening fast, folks. Buckle up and get ready to roll because we're going to need you. The next month is going to be extremely critical. Extremely. So hang in there. Help us fight. Good luck. Have a great weekend. Godspeed. God bless everybody.